Games Workshop came through once again, and we've got the Flesh Eater Court and the Skaven Battletome for review.
That's the first time we've actually called them Flesh Eaters. It's been calling them Nighthorn.
Nighthorn all day. I've been getting really confused. So we're going to go through both Battletomes in different videos. So go and check out the other one now, and we're going to try and get a battle report each. So hopefully they're up by the time this video goes up, but go and check them out. So here we go, the Skaven Battletome.
Yep, it's just all new.
There's so much in here. Skaven fans will definitely be very pleased. So previously in the General's Handbook you used to have to align per clan.
Yep.
Now you don't. It's very similar to what they've done with the Gloomspite Gits actually, which I think was a good thing. So you've got one keyword which links them all, which is Skaven Tide, like what you have the Gloomspite Gits. And everybody gets one general allegiance ability, and then depending on what your clan is within that, you get a bonus per clan. Again, kind of like what you do with the Squigs, Trolls, Grots,
yep,
things like that in the Gloomspite Gits. So you can literally pick and choose what Skaven unit you want, but within that, obviously Clan Eshin heroes will only buff Clan Eshin and so forth. So you still got to kind of be aware of your list.
But at least now it's all together in general. Much better.
We're not going to go over all the rule changes. My God,
everything.
Almost, well, we've only mainly looked at the stuff that we're going to film a battle report with, and it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Stormfiends are very popular at the moment, and we looked at those. They have changed massively.
I think there's 3 things. We were talking like a full page of words. 3 things haven't changed.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it.
Allegiance abilities are good. They've got access to all the spells. They've got access to artifacts. One of the endless spells is tremendously good. You think the Stormcast Comet is broke? Yeah. Wow! This, when we get to it, is fantastic. You can see where they've been inspired by other Battletomes as well. Like when we look at the, I forget the name of them, but the scenery piece, the little pits, very much inspired, I think, by Sylvaneth.
Yeah. That's what we've talked about as well. Going through,
looking at the General's Handbook.
There's a lot of copy and paste and change a few words. So a lot of the spells are very similar. There's Unleash Spites for Sylvaneth. There's one.
There's a spell which is basically exactly the same, but for Skaven.
There's a few very similar. So it is easy if you run multiple armies, but not very original. But it doesn't matter.
It is good though, because I think they've looked at the stuff that works, and they're sticking with it, which is good. And then obviously just changing the names. But I mean, even with the Gloomspite stuff, there's stuff that we've noticed in other armies that is almost identical.
Yeah. But like you say, if it works, it's good. Give it to people, give it to everyone. It makes the match more even. And
I think when we looked at the General's Handbook as well, when we were looking at points and stuff, we noticed that a lot of the allegiances that are in the General's Handbook have now got Battletomes. The Greyherds have, these have, the Spiderfang and everything's also changed because of the Gloomspite Gits. And I kind of hope out that they will change like Iron Jaws and things like that as well, and of course revisit the older Battletomes.
Sylvaneth.
Beast Claws. They both need it. So we're going to dive straight into this. We're going to have a look at the allegiance abilities first.
Right, he finds them. I'll read the points. So we've got a handful of changes. The Doom Wheel, it's gone up to 160. The Stormfiends are down to 260. The Arch Warlock, he's gone up to 160. Sorry. The Grey Seer, he's up to 120. The Vernon Lord Corruptor, he's gone up to 260. The Vermin Lord Warbringer, he's gone down to 260. The Night Runners, they're down, they're 80 for your minimum.
Yeah. And
for the bonus for having a full unit is you only pay 280. I'm guessing that's going to be instead of 300.
It's probably slightly more.
The Rat Swarms.
From 110, because nobody ever took them.
Down to 60.
Which is good.
That's a big drop. So that's all your point changes.
Yeah.
Everything else is the same.
There is a few other things, like they've renamed some of the characters and stuff like that, so it's very hard to try and compare them when we're not 100% on all the characters. So the only thing I can say is, if in doubt, double check, because a lot has changed. So for the allegiance ability, a lot of this has stayed the same, but they've already previewed this on the Warhammer page. But you get Lookout Sir, lead from the back. Lookout Sir rules apply in melee as well, which is -1 to hit if there's 3 models within 3 inches. So that's handy.
Yep.
You've got Scurry Away, so any leaders that are tied in combat, instead of activating them, you can just retreat.
Yep.
Which, you know, very rat-like, of course, run away.
Which is handy if your hero gets charged and you just pull them out.
Yeah. Overwhelming Mass, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by Skaven tied units whilst they have 20 or more models. In addition, add 1 to the wound rolls whilst they have 30 or more models.
Yep.
That's massively encouraging you to take big units.
With the massive point decrease for Rat Storms, it's going to take a long time to get through a massive chunk of that.
You can only take 8 Rat Storms because they're the little...
I thought they were the big... Oh no,
no. But do you know what? Like, Storm Vermin and Plague Monks.
That's what I thought.
It's, you know, having massive units, this vastly encourages you to run big units.
Objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got crap. See it, but how long it's going to take to get rid of a 60-man unit? Yeah,
exactly. Within that, obviously, each clan gets their own bonus. So, Master Clan, each time you use a command ability, you roll a dice, and on a 5-up, you receive an extra command point. Pretty cool. Clan Moulder, at the start of the first battle round, before determining which player has the first turn, you can pick one friendly Clan Moulder fighting beast for each Master Moulder in your army. The same fighting beast cannot be picked more than once to benefit from this ability. Add D3 to the wound characteristics of each of these models. In addition, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by melee weapons by those models. Hell Pit Abominations. That's where that's going.
Yeah, it's very long-winded, but it's good.
So you're getting D3 extra wounds and rerolling hit rolls of 1 on your big fight and stuff like the Hell Pit, which is already pretty good. Clan Eshin, you can pick 1 enemy hero for each Clan Eshin hero in your army. You can reroll failed wound rolls for attacks made by friendly Clan Eshin units that target those enemy heroes in battle.
That's good.
So pretty snipers. I can't remember what models are in Clan Eshin. There's a lot of Skaven in it. There's a lot to absorb. Verminous, up to 6 Claw Lords can each take a command trait, but they must be different. That is in addition to whoever your general is, if he's not a Claw Lord.
Yep.
So if you don't take a Verminous character as your general, they get the command trait, and then if you've got 6 Claw Lords, they get 1 each, which is handy. Skya, I'm not going to go through all of this, but basically you can generate extra Warpstone sparks, which allow you to buff your units, so you can add 1 to, reroll casting and dispelling and binding rolls for the wizard, but you can hurt yourself, as is typical with Warpstone. In the shooting phase, you can add 1 to damage characteristics from missile weapons. I don't know whether that affects the Warp Lightning cannon, because doing 2 mortal wounds each is brutal.
Yep.
And I think that'll probably get FAQ because it's very unclear. And in the combat phase, you can reroll hit rolls for that hero until the end of the phase. Each one, you roll a dice, and on a 1, the bearer suffers D3 mortal wounds. Clan Pestilence. There is a lot of different plagues. Basically, if you pray and you roll a 6, you can pick one of these bonus plagues. There's 5 different ones. Each one can only be used once per game, and you can only use 1 of these per battle round. But they're handy. There's one that kind of jumps between units, and if you kill the unit, the plague jumps to the next one. If you kill that unit, it jumps to the next one. It's handy.
But it's a lot to read.
It's a lot to read out. Command traits, there is 6 for all 6 clans. That's 36 command traits. But the first 3 are all the same.
Right.
So it's very, very similar to the Flesh Eater ones. So the first 3 are identical, which are actually in the General's Handbook with minor changes. Reroll wound rolls of a 1. Before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to your general, you can basically pass it off to a Skaven tied unit. You can add it to 3 if it's... you can subtract 1 from the roll if the general is a monster or war machine. So basically on a 3-up you can pass wounds off to your clan rats and stuff nearby, which is handy. Add 1 to the bravery of all Skaven tied units whilst they're wholly within 18. On the subject of that, I did forget to mention as well, Strength in numbers, Skaven actually add 2 to their bravery for every 10 models, not 1. So adding an additional 1, especially considering the bravery 4, is very, very handy. I'm not going to go through all of the other ones, but we'll have a look at a couple that I'm going to be using. So the Clan Skya add 2 to the number of Warpstone Sparks that the general can use during the battle. You know, if you're running a lot of Clan Skya, it's pretty good. In particular, obviously combined with Stormfiends, because they actually have weapons that you use to roll a hit and wound on. What I've got, the rules have changed, but it's kind of automatic hitting. Deranged Inventory, and pick one friendly Clan Skya unit that is wholly within 13. You can reroll hit rolls with missile weapons for that. It's good with things like Stormfiends and stuff that are actually firing, but with Warpfire Throwers and Warp Lightning Cannons, you're not rolling to hit, so it's not going to help me because of the models. But it's very, very good. I think on a big unit of Stormfiends, that's pretty horrendous. Overseer of Destruction, you can pick a friendly weapon team that are wholly within 13. You can reroll hits made by those units. Again, I've got Warpfire Throwers, so I don't roll the hit. But very, very useful traits. Pestilence Heroes, you can reroll a dice that determines the prayer. So that's pretty good. Because on a 1 you take wounds, on a 2 nothing happens, and on a 3 up the prayer goes off. On a 6 you get one of the Great Plagues. So that's handy. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made with missile weapons by friendly Clan Pestilent units whilst they're within, wholly within 18. Disease, at the start of your hero phase, roll a dice if the general is in 3 of any enemy units. On a 4+, it inflicts D3 mortal wounds on 1 unit. It's okay. Verminous, once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can add 3 to the attack characteristic of this general's melee weapons.
That's a lot.
It's once per battle, but if you need somebody to dig deep, if you're playing the one where the heroes control it, it's alright. Add 1 to the general's wound, it's okay.
Which that one as well for.
Which, bearing in mind, obviously, if you've got multiple Claw Lords, you're going to be taking multiple of these anyway. And Devious Adversary, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon that targets the general is a 1, he gets 1 extra attack until the end of that phase.
That's good.
Yeah, but he's got to survive.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, you've then got a lot of Clan Eshin and Clan Molder stuff as well. Again, guys, there is so much information in here. It's nigh on impossible to go through it all. Again, with the artifacts of power,
6 for each.
6 for each clan, and yeah, there's a lot of. I've had a quick glance at the 3 clans that I've mentioned there because that's what I'm playing. Nothing stands out as wow, that is absolutely like outstanding. But you think,
all together.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, and again, because I've only looked for the units that we've got, honestly,
so much.
You're going to need a couple of hours to go through this book.
And a lot of paper and pen to sit and try and work something out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show you here, for example, Artifacts of Power. You've got Master Clan and Skya, which is 6 each. You've then got Pestilence and Verminous. You've then got the Molder and the Eshin before you move on to the spells, which is absolutely, it's amazing that they've managed to put so much in. They are all very fluffy and cool and fun, which I like.
Yeah.
It's really good that they brought everything back together. For the spells, there's 2 spell laws, and it's kind of like Stormcast. You've got a smaller one for specific guys, and you've got a bigger one for the Grey Seers. Now, we don't have any Grey Seers, but some of these spells are very good. So Scorch has a casting value of 5, pick an enemy unit within 13, roll a number of dice equal to the casting roll, and for each 6, the unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So that was the same as Unleash Spites, isn't it? Splinter, I like this one. Splinter has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy model within 6 of the caster, roll a dice, and if the roll is greater than the model's wound characteristic, so not wounds remain and wounds characteristic, it's slain. That's good. That's good. In particular against things that like 3 or 4 wounds, if you can get it off, such as Ironjaw Brutes or Evocators, Paladins, things like that. Skitter Leap is basically redeploy a unit, but your friendly unit's got to be within 13. It has to have pick 1 friendly Skaven hero, with a wounds characteristic of 12 or less that is within 13 of the caster. Remove the hero from the battlefield and set it up anywhere. So
That'd
it's
be
useful.
very handy for the game where the hero controls an objective.
Plague is again very, very similar to I think it was Draka's shooting ability, or the Big Dragon. Stardrake's ability. So Plague has a casting value of 70. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 13 of the caster and roll 1 dice for each model in the unit. On a 5 up, it does a mortal wound. So if you like Lucy and roll 9 6s out of 20, you know that's going to do a lot of damage.
Obviously, that's a 5+.
Yeah, and there's a couple of other spells there as well, but that is Grey Seers only. But obviously, you can just take a Grey Seer in your army now, and it doesn't break your allegiance. And then you've got Law of Warp Vault Galvanism. Say that 3 times when you're drunk. And this is for Clan Skyer Wizards only. Again, they are pretty cool, but they centre around re-rolling to hit, which doesn't help with the list I've got, but it's very, very good. You've got multiple ways now of being able to have Clan Skyer re-roll hits. And if you're using command abilities or spells or command traits and stuff, it's very good if you run a shooting Skaven list. So pick a friendly Clan Skyer unit wholly within 12. You can reroll hit and wound rolls for that unit until your next hero phase. However, at the end of your next hero phase, you suffer D3 mortal wounds. Fair. Chain Lightning has a caster value of 6. If successfully cast, pick up to D6 enemy units within 18. Each of those units suffers 1 mortal wound. That's good for when the enemy's getting close. Warp Lightning Shield, I do like this one.
Say I don't.
Warp Lightning Shield has a caster value of 6. If cast until your next hero phase, the first 3 wounds that are allocated to the caster are negated. If a 4th wound is allocated to the caster in the same phase, then the caster suffers D6 mortal wounds, and the spell is then immediately unbound.
Right, I read that wrong first. So I thought the first 3 is negated, but the 4th does go on it. It's not negated. You still got a chance to.
Well, no, the 4th wound does go through.
If the 4th wound.
If the 4th wound goes through.
It automatically went through.
No. So that's every phase. Yeah. So that's in the shooting phase, the combat phase, movement phase, pre-game, pre-battle round, obviously from endless spells and stuff. It's pretty good to keep them alive.
But if it suffers the D6, the spell's automatically unbound though.
Yeah.
So as soon as you lose it, you're going to have to recast it.
Yeah. If you survive the D6.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's pretty useful. The terrain piece, the gnaw holes, I do like these.
They're really...
You do get 3 gnaw holes, and you can include 3 of them for free. After territories have been chosen, but before armies are set up. So this is, with the Sylvaneth one, you put the woods down before you decide sides. With this, it's after you've decided sides. Now the gnaw holes have to be wholly within 8 inches of the edge of a battlefield, and more than 3 inches from any enemy units or objectives, and more than 1 inch from any of the terrain features. It's handy because you can put them on different sides of the board. You can put one in your enemy's territory, you can go on either side, you can leave one back behind. What it does is at the start of your moving phase, you can use 1 gnaw hole to transport 1 Skaven Tide unit. In order to do so, that unit must wholly be within 6, and a friendly Skaven Tide hero must be within 6. If this is the case, the Skaven Tide unit from the battlefield, remove them from the battlefield and set it up wholly within 6 of another one, but more than 9 inches from enemy models. This counts as the unit's movement for the phase. It's decent, but it's very specific and tight.
Yep, you've got to try and set them somewhere your enemy's not going to get there before you get a chance to move it.
Yeah.
Use it.
But it does mean that if, for example, if you play Star Strike and 2 objectives are on one side and one's over the other, you can teleport to the other side. Yeah. So it's pretty good. Skaven Tide units treat this terrain feature as having arcane, so you get +1 for prayers, and
other units treated as deadly.
Yeah, and you get add 1 to casting and binding rolls for wizards. So you get +1 to your prayers, +1 to your cast, and it's deadly. So if you roll a 1, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. It's handy.
Yeah. For free.
Yeah. I like that they're doing all these little bits of scenery pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a whole host of battalions none of them stand out as amazing.
No.
We looked at we realised we didn't do the flesh eater ones in the game. We looked at them. They're okay. They're cool if you want some extra relics and stuff, but they're not overpowered like what I think they were in first edition. They're fun and they're fluffy. So there's quite a few. Now, some
units have changed too much.
Yeah.
Right. This guy, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things pretty much. All of them's changed.
For Thankwall.
So he's not going to be in our battle report. We just think it's too much. This review will just go on and on.
Yeah.
So we're only going to do some of the main units. So stuff you will see more commonly. Because how often is he going to be in a game?
Well, I don't know whether other people run them or not, but I know the Vermin Lords sing fairly decently. Again, there's 5 different war scrolls for the Vermin Lords, so we're not going to cover all of that. It's just simply too much. So recommendations is, guys, obviously when you pick it up, double check all of your rules. Don't second guess yourself. You know, a lot has changed drastically. So we'll go over some of the ones that obviously we're going to be using in the battle report, just to give you an idea as to how they've changed. But we're going to look at Stormfiends as well, because they changed a lot and a lot of people use them.
Alright, so the first thing is now each one has to have a different weapon. So 1 weapon in 3.
Yeah, so in the box you get 1 of 3 different weapons. And people were always running the Warpfire projectors because they used to do, I think it was 2d3 mortal wounds each. So it was very, very overpowered. So what they've done is very similar to the Caradhran Overlords, where they're the weapons you get in the box, that's what's in the unit. And it specifically says 1/3 of the models in the unit may be armed with this, 1/3 of the models in the unit may be armed with that. So what is in the box is fine. Obviously if you run 6, 1/3 is still 2. So yeah, they've definitely nerfed it in that sense, but they have come down in points as well.
Right, shall I take over?
Yeah.
The Rattling Cannon now runs on a 3 instead of a 4.
Yep.
The Wind Launchers, the old used to be 16-inch range, 2 attacks, 4 hits, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, -2 D3. The new 24-inch range, 3 attacks, hits and wounds on 3, it's -3 now.
Hits and wounds on 4s.
Hits and wounds on 4, sorry. -3 rend for D3 damage.
Yeah. Bear in mind, obviously, re-rolling hits with some of your Clan Skyer stuff here as well.
And the points have come down, and that is so much better. The Warpfire, it's the old was an 8-inch range, and pick a unit within range, and the unit suffers 2d3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
That was the old one. It's changed. So do you want to read the new one? Yeah.
So basically, what you do now is you pick a unit within range. And for each model that is within range, which is 8 inches, you roll a dice, and on a 4+ they suffer a mortal wound.
So you will get more chances, but it's not auto.
No. That's actually the same now with the Warpfire Thrower team. So that their rule for Warpfire is the same. It's just not automatic mortal wounds anymore.
The Doomflayers, they haven't changed. The Grinder Fists, they now do 2 damage instead of 3.
Yeah.
Shock Gauntlets and Club and Blows, they haven't changed at all. But the Grinder Fists, you used to have to roll a dice and they come at the end of the movement phase. Now, it's any units that fail to arrive at the end of turn 3 movements, they suffer D6 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
But then they automatically arrive.
Yeah.
So you will never not get them, but if you don't roll them by the end of turn 3, you suffer D6 mortal wounds.
Yeah, I always remember a game we played with your Stormcast and your Dracothians never turned up until turn 5. That's when you used to have to roll for it in their second Battletome. The third one's obviously changed it, you just choose now.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they've actually done that, but it is a risk.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously double check the rules on them, guys, because you know there is changes in there, mainly to the Warpfire stuff as well.
And the stuff that haven't changed, technically they haven't, but the wording might have changed. But yeah, what's next? Warp Light Cannon.
Yeah.
Warp Lightning Cannon. Right, he has gained 2 more wounds, so he's now got 8 wounds, And he has a 4+ save instead of the 5+ now.
Yeah, he did have an ability previously that gave him +1 save. He's lost it,
Yeah, that's
but he's got the natural 4 now.
Ponderous War Machine.
Yeah.
And he's gained the more lightning.
Yes, this
more warp lightning, sorry.
This is... I'll be doing this. Before you roll the dice to determine the power of the warp lightning blast for this model, if there is a friendly warlock engineer within 3 inches, you can say that the engineer will increase this weapon's power output. If you do, roll 12 more dice instead of 6 more dice for that attack. However, after the attack has been resolved, the model suffers D3 mortal wounds for each unmodified roll of a 1 on those 12 dice. Yeah.
That's a lot of dice.
And a single warlock engineer cannot be used to increase the power output more than once. More than one warp lightning blast in the same phase.
So just one guy can only do 1.
You can't do it with 2 warp lightnings, which is what I've got. So yeah, it's good, and that's why they've given it the extra 2 wounds, which I think is very, very handy.
Yeah, I don't think his price changed.
No, the points stayed exactly the same for the warp lightning can, 180. What else have we got?
We've got the warp fire thrower.
Yeah, so the warp fire thrower, the rule change to be the same as the Stormfiend. So
the more warp.
Yeah, they gained more warp fire. Before you pick a target unit for this model's warp fire thrower, you can say that the crew are disabling the flow regulator. If you do so, roll 2 dice for each enemy model within 8 inches instead of 1. However, if you do so, you must roll a dice after the dice have been rolled to see if the warp fire thrower inflicts any mortal wounds. And on a 1 or a 2, you are slain.
Which is very risky.
Yeah, but you get to roll 2 dice for every model. If you get him stuck in there in combat or something,
the warp fire itself changed.
Yeah, like I said, so you pick an enemy unit, and for each model that's within 8, you roll a dice on a 4+ to take a mortal wound.
Plague monks. Yeah.
When me and Michael did a battle report at the end of 1st edition, there was so much going on with Plague Monks. I'm just going to read what the new war scroll is and not just say what the changes are. Again, I think Plague Monks are very, very cool if you play a clan. Was it Eshin? Pestilence.
That's Plague Monk Priest.
Yeah, that's this, isn't it? Yeah. Again, minor changes with that, but double check.
He's got loads.
Yeah. I'm not going to go over all of that, you'll see it in the battle report, but again guys, double check all of your rules. The Plague Monks themselves, they can now only take 1 banner per 20 models. There's 2 banners available, so you have to choose one or the other now. And it seems that they're doing this with a lot of the units as well. So I suspect, I know like Demons can take 2 banners, Iron Jaws have got 2 different banners. The Gloomspike Gits, you can only take 1 banner per 20 now as well. So you've got the Contagion standard, roll a dice each time a model from this unit is slain by an attack made with a melee weapon. If the unit includes any Contagion banners, before the bearer is removed, on a 6, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So basically, whenever someone dies, roll a dice, and if you roll a 6, the unit that attacked them takes a wound.
Can be handy.
Icon of Pestilence, if an unmodified wound roll for an attack made with the melee weapon by this model is a 6, you can add 1 to the damage, so basically the weapons do 2 damage then. 1 in every 20 models can also be a Doom Gong Bearer or Bale Chime Bearer. Add 1 to the run and charge rolls if you go for the Gong. It seems that most of the gongs in all of the units, like the Clan Rats, Storm Vermin and everything, it's the same.
Yeah.
Which again is very useful. If an unmodified... sorry, this is for the Bale Chime. If an unmodified hit roll for the attack is a 6, improve the rend by 1.
Yeah. Which has got no rend anyway, so that can be useful.
Yeah, so you've got 2 attacks, 4s, and 1 damage. One thing that is good about the Plague Monks, they gained a 6+ save.
Yeah.
Which means that they can now get a cover save, because I know they did it with the Blood Reavers, where they changed their save to a 7+. Because before it used to be dash where you can't get +1 to nothing. So, you know, they've got a 6-up save now. The abilities and everything changed as well. One of them can take a war stave. That model replaces the weapon option for the Forted Blade and carries a Book of Wars instead. And the Book of Wars can do a couple of things, not as much as what it did before. With the blades, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with a pair of blades. So obviously, if you're going for 6s to hit, do -1 rend, it's quite useful. Frenzied Assault. Add 1 to the attack characteristic of this unit's melee weapons if you made a charge move. So that's 3 attacks each, potentially rerolling hits. Well, you are rerolling hits. The Book of Warzone. In your hero phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 13 of the unit's bringer of the word and roll a dice. On a 4+, the unit suffers 1 mortal wound, and on a 6+, it suffers D3 mortal wounds instead.
That's brutal.
That's nowhere near as bad as what it used to be.
Really?
It's handy. It is very handy. So you can see there, guys, there's a lot of changes. Honestly, just double check everything. But I think it's a very, very cool battle tome.
Yeah.
There's a lot to absorb. Obviously, if you've already got your army centered around one clan, you can now expand into other clans and take other cool things as well.
Yeah.
So if you've got Clan Skyer, Stormfiends and things like that, and you want to take some other stuff, go for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely go for it. There is definitely a lot to absorb, and I don't think it's as strong from what I've seen as Flesh Eaters, but it's very, very fun.
Yeah.
And I would put this in the same level of fun as the Gloomspite Kit Battletome, guys.
It's just like looking at them, you come face an army of just either big things or millions of little things running around.
That's very, very familiar, isn't it?
Last but not least, I've got for the endless spells.
Yeah.
Now, first one, Vermintide, is 40 points. So, it's a predatory spell and it can move to 7. It has a casting value of 7, which only Skaven Tide can attempt. And you set it up 13 inches within 13 inches of the caster. So the abilities. After this model has moved, the player that controls will pick 1 enemy unit within 3 inches and roll 13 dice. For each roll of a 6, the unit suffers a mortal wound.
Yep.
In addition, roll 13 dice for each unit that finishes a normal move or charge move within 3 inches of this model. For each roll of a 6, another mortal wound.
Yeah.
So it's staying still, it's moving and doing mortal wounds, possibly. It's anywhere near it. Finish your move. That's good. Vicious Hunger. When this model is set up, the player who set it up can immediately make a move with it. And Skaven Tides are not affected by the Raving Horde ability. In addition, Skaven Tide models can move across this model in the same manner as a model that can fly. So when you roll the 13 dice, when you finish moving it, that's the Raving Horde. So it's just this now.
Yeah, it's like the spider one from Gloomspite.
13 more dice twice.
Yeah.
The Warp Lightning Vortex. Is this the one you like?
100 points.
Yeah. So it's a single ender spell with 3 models. If it's dispelled, all 3 models will be removed. Has casting value of 5, which only a Skaven Tide can cast. If successfully cast, set up 1 Warp Lightning Vortex model holding within 26 of the caster slot's far.
Just so you know, that reaches the other side of the battlefield most of the time in your enemy's deployment zone.
Yeah. So you set up 1 wholly within 26 and then set up the 7, the second and third Warp Lightning Vortex models exactly 7 inches from the first model and exactly 7 inches from each other. So you set up 126 inches, next one 7, and then next one 7.
But it doesn't say the subsequent ones have to be within the 26, so you could cast 126 and then get the other 2 7 inches past that. So it's a long range. But
abilities. Warp Lightning Bolts. When this model is set up and at the end of each movement phase, roll 1 dice for each unit within 6 of any of the models from the end of the spell. Add 1 to the dice roll if that unit is within 6 of the second model of the endless spell. Add 2 to the dice instead of 1 if that unit is wholly within 6 of the third model. So
yeah, basically if you're affected by more than 1, you add to what the next roll is going to do.
Yep. On a 4+, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On an unmodified roll of a 6, the unit suffers D6 instead.
Yeah. Yeah, so just to picture that, obviously you've got a 7-inch equilateral triangle, and you've got 6 inches either side of that to affect a unit.
Yeah.
And of course, if anybody is within 6 inches of 2, it's better. Within 3, it's even better still.
Yeah.
So threat range, that's 19-inch width.
Yeah, and possibly 3 dice for each unit.
Yeah, depending on how close they all are.
But second ability, Warp Vortex. Units cannot run or fly when they make a normal move that starts within 6 inches of this spell. You can't run, you can't fly. You just do normal main movements for, say, a basic battle line.
Yeah.
Isn't far.
So you know them running charge abilities? Yeah, you can't use them.
No. And does it say that you're not affected?
No, it does affect you.
It affects everybody.
But, you know, who cares if you're holding an opponent's army in place for 1 or 2 turns?
Yep, and the Bell of Doom is 40 points as well. It's a predatory spell, can move up to 13 inches and fly. Casting of 6, and again only a Skaven can attempt it, and it has to be set up wholly within 13 of the caster. The abilities: Apocalyptic Doom. Roll 3d6 after this model is set up or finishes a move. On the roll of 13, each unit within 13 of this model suffers D3 mortal wounds. This model is then dispelled.
So what does it actually do?
So you summon it and roll 3d6. If the roll of 3d6 is more than 13, each unit doesn't see enemies, so it's every unit within 13 of inches of this suffers D3 mortal
But to
wounds.
roll a 13 on 3d6 is not... It's not easy.
No. Then Boldness of Despair. Do not take battle shock tests for Skaven units while they're within 13 inches of this model. Subtract 1 from the bravery characteristics of any other units while they're within 13 inches of this model.
That's why it's there. So obviously making them immune to bravery, but if you happen to roll 13, then you're taking wounds. But typical Skaven style, it's fun, it's fluffy, and to be honest, it does help a bit.
But this model is then dispelled.
Yeah, it's if you accidentally roll a 13, it basically blows up.
Right. Oh, yes. So if you don't, it
Yeah.
does nothing except
Make you immune and minus
Yeah.
1 bravery. It's handy. How many points is that?
40.
That's alright. That's alright for 40 points.
It's very good one way, but then dispelled. It's bad that way.
So this is available to pre-order now, guys. Please go and check out our other battle reports and Battletome reviews for this and the Flesh Eater Courts Battletome as well. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again soon.